the concept-based learning. Before we start the video, please subscribe to my channel Dental 360 and please press the bell icon. Now, I will be dealing this first chapter of development of tooth under the following contents. What is oral ectoderm? I will be telling. What is ectomesenchyme, where it is originating. What is dental lamina, vestibular lamina, and what is enamel organ. Okay, and what is it used in tooth development. Now, let us start with oral ectoderm. Oral ectoderm is nothing but the lining of the primitive oral cavity, which is also called as stomodium. So now if you concentrate on this picture, you can see this part is the future forebrain. It is the forebrain, okay, which is going to form our brain in adults. Similarly, this bulge, the second bulge that you are seeing below the forebrain here, this is the pericardium. It is the pericardium, and this is the primitive heart. Okay, so between the brain and the heart lies our mouth. So mouth is nothing but the oral cavity, okay, and the primitive oral cavity is called as stomodium. This stomodium, as we have seen, is lined by an epithelium, which is a stratified squamous epithelium. So this stratified squamous epithelium, which lines the oral cavity, is nothing but the oral ectoderm. Okay. So what is oral ectoderm? It is nothing but the epithelial lining of the primitive oral cavity. Okay. Now, this oral cavity is generally continued into the foregut, right? Foregut is nothing but the future stomach. Now, whatever we, as an adults, just notice that whatever we eat directly goes into our stomach. This means that there is a connection between our mouth and stomach. But initially, in the initial embryo period, this connection is not present, and instead there is a membrane which is present in between the oral cavity and the foregut. This membrane is called as the buccopharyngeal membrane. Okay, it is called as the buccopharyngeal membrane. Now, why is it called bucco? Bucco denotes the oral cavity, and pharyngeal is nothing but the foregut, that is the posterior part. So, buccopharyngeal membrane is the one separating the oral cavity and the foregut. Now, this doesn't have to be there, right? So, as the embryo develops, this buccopharyngeal membrane ruptures, okay, and the rupturing of the buccopharyngeal membrane occurs on 27th day of gestation. The rupturing of the buccopharyngeal membrane occurs 27th day of gestation. Now, this is very important because this is a rupturing of buccopharyngeal membrane is an important event in the development of tooth. Okay, so that is why it is stressed upon. So, this is the importance of buccopharyngeal membrane and its rupture. So, once it ruptures, what happens? Oral cavity establishes connection with the foregut, like it should be. Now, coming to the ectomesenchyme. Let us come to ectomesenchyme. Ectomesenchyme is nothing but the connective tissue which is present below the ectoderm. Okay, so ectomesenchyme is the connective tissue which is present below the ectoderm, and this is neural crest cell origin. Okay, ectomesenchyme is nothing but it is neural crest cell origin. So what are these neural crest cells, and why are we saying that this ectomesenchyme originates from neural crest cells? Neural crest cells are present in the brain. Okay, so we'll first see a little bit about neural crest cells and then how it is related to ectomesenchyme. Okay, so Neural crest cell in itself is a very important topic and a short answer. Okay, the derivatives of neural crest cell is again a short answer. So let us see here. So what is happening in the brain? Now we come to the brain. In the brain there is an important event that takes place, that is the neural tube formation. Okay, so this neural tube formation occurs from the neural plate. So this is the neural plate. The red color plate is nothing but the neural plate, and this blue color is the epidermis. Okay, and the green color shaded area is the neural plate border. It is present between the epidermis and the neural plate. So let me label it here. This is the epidermis, the blue color. The green shaded area is the junction between the neural plate and the epidermis, which is the neural plate border. Neural plate border. And this plate is the neural plate. Okay. Now, as I said, an important event in the brain development is the neural tube formation, and this neural tube formation, neural tube is formed from the neural plate. Now just use your common sense that if a plate has to form like a tube is nothing but a closed circular structure. So if a plate has to form a tube, what should happen? Ideally, the plate should converge inwards, right? So that is what happens here. The neural plate converges inwards to form the neural tube here. Okay. So once the neural tube is formed, it is a closed structure. So what happens to the overlying epidermis? The epidermis will delaminate itself and come to lie over the neural tube. Okay. Then, in between the epidermis and the neural tube, the cells of the neural plate border, which are now called the neural crest cells, will be present. Okay. So these are the neural crest cells. Now this neural crest cells, they don't remain there. They migrate to different parts of the body, and wherever they migrate, they form a very important structures over there. Like for example, when they migrate to epidermis, they form melanocytes. Okay, similarly, they migrate to the first branchial arch to form the ectomesenchyme. Okay, so when that is what we are concerned about, so that is what I am going to specify. These neural crest cells, when they migrate to the first branchial arch, which is responsible for the tooth formation, when they migrates to the first branchial arch, it forms the ectomesenchyme there. So this is how ectomesenchyme comes to lie beneath the oral ectoderm, and it is of neural crest cell origin. Okay. Ectomesenchyme derives its name because partly it is derived from the ectoderm also, and partly it is derived from the mesenchyme, that is the neural crest cells. That is why it is called as ectomesenchyme. One more thing I would like to mention, maybe most of you must know, but especially for BDS freshers, any epithelium in the body, okay, anywhere in the body, is always supported by a connective tissue. Okay, because without the connective tissue, the epithelium cannot sustain itself. The reason is that epithelium does not have blood supply of its own. Okay, and the blood supply is provided by the blood vessels which are present in the connective tissue. Okay, so that is the reason that epithelium is always supported by a connective tissue. Without connective tissue, what happens to epithelium? It will undergo necrosis. Okay, so this is about ectomesenchyme. The function of ectomesenchyme is to instruct the overlying ectoderm to initiate the tooth development. Right, so we have completed what is the oral ectoderm, which is nothing but the stratified squamous epithelium and the lining of the primitive oral cavity. Ectomesenchyme is the primitive connective tissue, right? Now we will come to the next thing, that is dental lamina. here, okay, one more thing important is ectomesenchyme. If you see, I have drawn so many cells here. The green color structures are the cells, and the blue color structures are the connective tissue fibers, and these red color structures are the blood vessels. Because ectomesenchyme is a primitive connective tissue, it is more cellular and less fibrous. Okay, and as the tissue matures, it becomes more fibrous and less cellular. One more important thing here, probably the senior students must be knowing this, but for BDS freshers, take any epithelium in your body, it is always supported by the connective tissue. It has to, because without the connective tissue, the overlying ectoderm or epithelium cannot survive, because epithelium does not have blood supply of its own. Whatever blood nutrition it has to get, it gets from the underlying connective tissue. So whenever you talk about epithelium, be it in histology or later when you read about pathology, you have to always talk about the underlying connective tissue. Here, at about 6th week, when the embryo is of 6th week, that is 2 to 3 weeks after the buccopharyngeal membrane ruptures, there is some mitotic activity that takes place in the basal cells of the ectoderm. Not all throughout the ectoderm, but some cells, let us take these 3 cells, okay? They undergo rapid mitosis and they multiply at a very rapid rate when compared to other adjacent cells. As a result, lot of cells, they grow inside into the ectomesenchyme like this. So these are all the daughter cells. They grow into the connective ectomesenchyme. This is called as the primary epithelial band. This is again an important structure. It is the primary epithelial band. It is called as band because just imagine it in a 3D structure. This is just a 2D one, right? So in a 3D structure, it proliferates, the ectoderm proliferates into the ectomesenchyme in shape of band or the arches, which are future horseshoe shaped arches, one in the maxilla and the mandible. So this is primary epithelial band, okay? Now, this primary epithelial band again shows rapid mitosis. So as we are talking, this mitosis keeps on taking place, okay? And this primary epithelial band then gives 2 extensions. So once these arches are formed, from here again it gives 2 extensions, one on the inner side, let me draw it here. This is the primary epithelial band, right? It gives 2 extensions, one on the inner side, that is the lingual side, and one on the outer side, which is the buccal side. So the extension which is given on the inner side is called as the dental lamina. Is called as the dental lamina. It is named because of the structure that it is going to form, which is the tooth. In a similar way, the outer extension or the buccal extension of the primary epithelial band is called as the vestibular lamina, because it is going to form the future vestibule. Vestibular lamina. What is vestibule? Vestibule is nothing but that hollow space that you see between your jaws and the lips and cheeks. That is the vestibule, and it comes from the vestibular lamina. Vestibular lamina is also called as lip furrow band. Lip furrow band. Right. So we know now that dental lamina serves as a primordium for the future primary teeth. So how many primary teeth are present? 20 primary teeth are present, 10 in the upper arch, 10 in the lower arch. So that is how the dental lamina comes out. So what about the permanent teeth? I have not talked about that. This dental lamina only gives rise to primary teeth. But the permanent teeth also comes from the dental lamina only, but not proper dental lamina. This again gives extension. Okay, dental lamina again gives an inner or a lingual extension. Inner or a lingual extension from where the successors of the primary teeth arise. Okay, so because this extension is giving rise to the successors of primary teeth, the name is successional lamina. Successional lamina. See, lamina is any structure which is any thin plate-like structure. Okay, so you can see lamina in other parts of the body also, and like basal lamina and all that. The name here comes from the structures that they are going to produce in the future. So successional lamina is going to produce the successors of the primary teeth. One important thing to remember here. Okay, let me ask you a question. Are all the permanent teeth successors of primary teeth? The answer is no. No. Why? Because use your logic. How many primary teeth are present? 20. How many permanent teeth are present? 32. So there are extra 12 teeth which has to come not from the primary teeth but somewhere else, right? So the successional lamina gives rise to only the 20 successors. The remaining permanent teeth, which are the permanent molars, they come from another extension, that is the distal extension of dental lamina. Okay, the distal extension of dental lamina here give rise to all the permanent molars, first, second and third permanent molars. All the three molars in both the arches. Okay, thankfully it does not have a different name, so no one less name to remember. Right. Now we have talked about the dental lamina and the vestibular lamina. What happens to this dental lamina after the tooth is formed? Does it stay forever? No. Why does it have to? Its function is to form the tooth. It has formed the tooth. Now what happens? Once the tooth development initiates, this dental lamina will degenerate. Right? This dental lamina will degenerate. So let me draw a figure here for you to understand. This is a dental lamina. This is the oral ectoderm. Okay? And from the oral ectoderm, we see the dental lamina. And this dental lamina will come and give rise to the enamel organ. All these things we will see. How does it give rise to, what is the shape of enamel organ, what is the function of enamel organ? We will just see in a few minutes. But till then, just remember that once the tooth development initiates or is almost completed, they lose their connection with the oral ectoderm. That is, the dental lamina will degenerate. But sometimes some dental lamina remnants may remain here. Some cells do not completely degenerate and they may remain in the jaw or the gingiva. And those remnants are known as cell rest of serrae. Those remnants are known as cell rest of serrae. Again, very, very important. Okay, very important because of two reasons. First thing is, this is a very important question. Second thing is, you need to remember this. This serves as a tissue of origin for a lot of odontogenic tumors and cysts that you will be reading in third year pathology. That is why you need to remember what are cell rest of serrae, from where they are formed and why they are present. If they are present, where they are present. Okay. So now I think you must be able to answer all these questions. Cell rest of serrae are nothing but the remnants of dental lamina. They are present. Why? Because sometimes after the tooth development is completed, they may not degenerate completely. Where they are present? They are present in the jaws and the gingiva. Right? These cell rest of serrae have another name, that is epithelial pearls. Epithelial pearls. Here, please don't get confused with enamel pearl. Enamel pearl is totally different. This is epithelial pearls. So, this is about the dental lamina and the vestibular lamina. Coming to enamel organ. The next is enamel organ. Now, along the dental lamina, the ectodermal cells, they still multiply rapidly. Okay, this multiplication is going on happening as the tooth development continues, and the ectodermal cells of the dental lamina, again they rapidly multiply and grows into the ectomesenchyme. So there is ectodermal downgrowth into the ectomesenchyme. Now this ectodermal downgrowth is not uniform. Okay, it occurs wherever the future teeth or tooth is supposed to be present. So since we are talking about the primary tooth, there are 10 maxillary and 10 mandibular enamel organ that shoots out from the dental lamina. The shape of the enamel organ is not same. It keeps on changing depending on which the various stages of tooth development is classified. That comes under our next video. So till here, just remember that enamel organ is nothing but a little knob-like structure which is formed into the ectomesenchyme from the ectoderm, and there are 10 maxillary and 10 mandibular enamel organs. One more thing is, all these 10 maxillary and mandibular enamel organs do not form at the same time, because our eruption does not happen at the same time. So which primary tooth erupts first? Very good. It is mandibular incisors. So similarly, mandibular incisors, so in the mandibular anterior region, the enamel organ forms first, then comes to the maxillary anterior region, and then it progresses posteriorly. The function of enamel organ is, as the name is suggesting, to form an enamel, right? So I think at this point, this much about enamel organ and other structures are enough. Let us now come into more detail in the next chapter. So thank you, and if you like my video, please like, share and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel Dental 360. Thank you. All the best.